Did you know that storytelling is one of the most powerful tools you have to keep your listeners hooked and make your message truly memorable? But here's the thing, a lot of the advice you hear makes storytelling seem much more complex than it really is. The truth is, storytelling is pretty simple if you know what really matters. If you give me just 9 minutes, I'll walk you through the 5 essential techniques you can use to tell insanely good stories. Stories that make your friends, colleagues, or even clients hang on to your every word. Before we do that, let me show you a quick example by John Krasinski, whom you might know from The Office. It's a 20-second story, really short, but it's so powerful. He said, and I said, yeah. And he said, who are you visiting here? I said, my wife. And he said, is she an actress? I said, yeah. He said, would I know her? I said, I dunno, man, her name's Emily Blunt. He goes, you married Emily Blunt. And I went, yeah. Did you notice what he did there? He didn't just summarize the events. He drew us directly into the moment, letting us feel it alongside him. The best stories aren't a flat recap. Instead, they bring you into the scene, into the action, alongside the storyteller. The good thing is, it's not difficult. Here are the 5 techniques you can use in all your stories.
Petit losange bleu technique 1 location.
Start by stating the location. Where are you physically? Examples. 2 weeks ago, I'm sitting on my couch in my living room, taking a deep breath. Or, it's September 2019. I'm about to walk into the conference room for a big meeting.
Why?
Because this lets your audience visualize the setting, putting them right there with you. High voltage tip, expert opinion from communication expert Julian Treasure. He says adding details brings your stories to life, but keep it simple. Don't overwhelm your listener with unnecessary information. Mention just enough to aid their imagination.
Petit losange bleu technique 2 action.
Describe what you're doing in that moment instead of adding fluff. Examples. I'm in my office. I slowly open my laptop and start reading a message from my manager. Or, I'm at the airport, waiting in line at security.
Why?
Because actions create forward momentum and keep the story alive.
Petit losange bleu technique 3 sautes.
Consider what you're thinking in that moment. We all have worries, doubts, plans. Those raw thoughts make your story more human. Examples. Instead of, I was excited to meet my crush, say, I thought, this is so cool. I'm finally going to see her after all this time. Instead of, I was very disappointed about that presentation, say, I thought, man, everyone is going to think I messed up. I'll lose credibility. Tip, expert opinion. Avoid sounding stiff or overprofessional. Keep your thoughts raw, vulnerable, and realistic.
Petit losange bleu technique 4 émotion.
Best stories are emotionally rich. We want to feel what you felt in that moment. Instead of stating, I was disappointed, show it. Picture your body, your expression. For instance, I let out a heavy sigh and fell back into my seat. Or, he kept tapping his pen against the table, glancing up at the clock every few seconds. You could feel his nervous energy. This makes your stories much more vivid.
Petit losange bleu technique 5 dialogue.
What did your friends, colleagues, or even your dog say? Instead of stating, my friend was very disappointed, say, my friend turned to me and said, Philip, what on earth was that? Instead of, my manager was pleased, say, my manager nodded and said, wow, this is the best presentation you've ever delivered. Tip, expert opinion. Make the dialogue juicy, realistic, and to the point, something people will remember. Sparkles, let's see these techniques in action. This is a story by Sarah Willingham, a British entrepreneur, investor, and CEO of Nightcap. So in my mid-20s, I was running acquisitions for Pizza Express, and I walked into a meeting room. I was 2 minutes late for the meeting, and the person on the opposite side, a lawyer, looked up and said, oh, thank goodness for that. Mine's a white with 1 sugar, please. So I thought, okay. I walked over to make him his coffee, placed the cup down, and then sat back in my seat. And as he looked up, I saw the color drain from his face as he realized his enormous mistake. He hadn't recognized me at all. It was a beautiful moment in my career. I turned something that could undermine me into a superpower. Because guess who walked out with the deal? What a master storyteller. Today you've learned the foundations, the 5 techniques to tell insanely good stories. But there's more. If you want to go even further and become a better storyteller than 99% of people, I suggest you watch the following video. Did you know that the way you tell your stories can make or break your ability to connect with your audience?
Fire.
In this video, I'm going to share the 3 most powerful storytelling techniques that can take your stories from ordinary to extraordinary. Let's go. First, start right in the action. One of the biggest differences between great storytellers and beginners is that great storytellers bring us into their story right from the start, without a ton of background context. They let us experience the moment alongside them. White heavy checkmark example. Instead of starting with, "It was May 2019 and I decided to quit my job," you can say, "I remember opening my manager's office, placing the envelope with my resignation letter on his desk, and turning to walk away." Or, "About 2 weeks back, I was riding my bike, singing Dancing Queen by ABBA at the top of my lungs." Sparkles, this forward momentum grabs your listeners' attention immediately and pulls them into your story. Expert opinion. Nancy Duarte, communication expert. According to Duarte, stories should start in medias res, right in the thick of the action. This helps keep the audience engaged instead of losing their interest with lengthy introductions. Second, show, don't tell. The best stories are emotional, but we shouldn't just state the emotions. We need to show them. Instead of stating, "My boss was very pleased," say, "My boss patted me on the back and grinned from ear to ear." Instead of stating, "I was nervous," say, "My legs started trembling and my face turned red." This small change lets your imagination do its magic, turning your words into a vivid experience. Example from expert Robert McKee. A master storyteller shows us characters' struggles, doubts, and desires, adding texture and depth, instead of naming their emotions directly. Third, use dialogue. Dialogue is a powerful way to bring your stories to life. It lets your listeners feel as if they're there with you in that moment. Instead of stating, "My mom was disappointed," say, "My mom looked me in the eye and said, 'Philip, you're a disgrace.'" Instead of stating, "My client secured $3 million in funding," say, "My client called me and said, 'We did it. We secured $3 million in funding. Thank you so much.'" Such small tweaks make your stories much more dramatic, realistic, and engaging. Sparkles, these 3 techniques, starting in action, showing instead of telling, and adding dialogue, will transform your stories. But you should also make sure to include a few surprise or unexpected moments to keep your listeners guessing. If you want to know when and where to insert these moments, check out the video where I share the 3 lessons I learned from reading 34 books on storytelling. See you there.